Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Stephanie with Lumeria Star, and today what we're going to do is we're going to go through the decks I worked with in May, and also I'm still just going to talk about some of my tarot burnout and tarot practice, what it's looking like now, being a little bit more disconnected to tarot, and some of my reflections on that. So I might have less to say about the cards, but I really more wanted to talk about just how I've been feeling. So let's just get into it. I've got my cup of coffee here, and let's just look through some decks and chat a bit. So the first deck I worked with in the month of May is the Tarot of Mystical Moments. This is by Katrin Wellstein. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. This is a newer-ish deck to my collection. I want to say I picked this up last year, but I barely worked with it. I got a gift card from a girlfriend of mine for my birthday, and then it took me forever to remember I had the gift card, and then I finally picked up a few decks from a local metaphysical shop by me, and then I didn't feel ready to use this, so it just kind of sat. But I definitely worked with it a bit more this year, and it's just a deck I really enjoy. I feel like the artwork is very surrealist, really beautiful. There's got a lot of like flowers and botanicals, like nature elements. It's got this kind of like antique kind of vintage vibe to it, which is really cool. The cards are glossy, but like for some reason I don't mind it with this deck. I feel like it kind of adds to it. So I did work with this deck, and I'm just going to flip through the cards as I, just kind of talk a little bit. But yeah, I'm still feeling a lot of tarot burnout. Like I'm not feeling super drawn to want to pull cards. I've noticed, like, ever since I started reading tarot, which I think was 8 years ago, it was an instant and immediate connection. And messages truly just like downloaded. Like I would pull cards and I would just hear a message in my head, and I just learned that those are probably like downloads from spirit or the universe or wherever they're coming from. But this is the first time in 8 years where I'm pulling cards and I'm not hearing that voice. So like that freaked me out at first. I'm like, oh my gosh, did I lose my skills? Like, did I lose my connection? And I don't think I lost my skills. I do think the connection is waning a bit right now. And I think that's not something that's permanent. I think that's something that will probably come and go and kind of ebb and flow with time, just like anything else that we might get burned out by, like our work, relationships, if things feel stale, if things feel like they're not a top priority at the moment. I think that can change how you feel. But I do think, like, I know my skills are still there, but I do feel like the downloads are not coming down. The connection is a bit more foggy or clouded. And I was trying to do some reflection on that. And I do have some ideas of what could have attributed to that, which I will share. I love this Nine of Swords cards. Like this to me feels like Nine of Swords energy, like up at night, so anxious. Like I think that is an awesome depiction of that energy. So yeah, so let me share the next deck, and then I'll talk a little bit more about some of my feelings. So this is one deck I worked with, Tarot of Mystical Moments. I really enjoy this deck a lot. I'm glad this made its way into my collection, and it just feels very like spring into summer energy. So it's a nice time to work with it right now. All right, so the next deck I worked with in May was the Mother Tarot, which is perfect again for like Mother's Day, just like spring energy. I feel like is all about that mother, that Empress energy. This deck of cards is so unique. It's square. The artwork is very spicy in a lot of them. Like, look at this Lover's card. And you can read it directionally. I don't really do that. But anyway, I'll flip through as I continue talking. But I was reflecting on why my connection feels to be waning, and I think it's a bunch of factors coming into play. So one like more minor factor that I noticed coming into play is on my Instagram, Lumeria Star, where I started this kind of tarot journey for myself. It was a lot of fun for me to grow, and it grew organically, which was so awesome. I felt like the messages I was getting and the messages I was sharing with the world were really resonating for people. So that felt good for me. I think it felt good for other people that they were getting the guidance they needed. So overall, it just felt really good. And now, at least for me, with the tarot algorithms, I'm not being seen by anyone. And I don't know if it's because I'm posting things that are like being shadow banned for whatever reason, political views, like whatever it is. I don't know how Instagram works these days anymore. It all feels very shady. But, you know, I have like 20,000 followers, which is amazing. But like when I look at the analytics, like 600 people like saw my post, and like that's wild. So like clearly, like when I had significant less amount of followers, like a few thousand, I was getting a few thousand views, which means pretty much everyone was seeing my content. So now no one's seeing my content, and I think that's one small factor coming into why it feels like I'm burned out, or I'm not feeling connected, because I'm not feeling connected to the people who were following me, because I don't even think they're seeing my content. So that's just been a bummer. I don't know how to fix that, and I refuse to like pay for like ads, and like that's ridiculous. Like that's not why I started all of this. It was not to make money. It was not to do any of that. Like I just wanted to share tarot art and the messages, and you know, tarot has been so supportive and helpful for me in my life, and I wanted to share those with other people. So when that was happening, that felt so good. But now, again, I post, I feel like it goes into this like void of a black hole. Literally a microscopic fraction of the people who follow me even see it. So it just feels a little pointless. So that's like one factor that I noticed is like upon reflection. I was really trying to reflect, like, why does this feel different? That's one of them. Like, just no one's seeing my stuff. And again, I guess that's fine. Like, I started my account originally just for me. So I could still post just for me, of course. But over time, it grew to where, you know, people were interacting and people were sharing how that message landed for them. And that felt really special for me. So I feel like I'm missing that factor. So again, that's one aspect. Again, it's kind of small, it's kind of minor. It's definitely workable. But yeah, that's one factor coming into play. So let me finish flipping through this deck. We'll pull out a new deck, and I'll share more about other things I've come to notice. But yeah, look how gorgeous this artwork is. It's very feminine, very sensual, very earth-centric. If this artwork appeals to you in any way, highly, highly suggest. So that is the Mother Tarot, and this is by Ren McMurdo Brignac. And it's an indie deck. All right, so that was deck number 2 I worked with. Let's look at deck number 3, which is always a favorite. Since we were in, you know, we had Beltane May 1st, so I'm still in that Beltane energy the month of May. You all know how I feel about this series of decks. I love them. Like, when in doubt, if I'm in burnout, this deck will help. So anyway, I'll do a flip through. Most of you have probably seen this, but if you haven't and you're interested, get your hands on this deck series. It is so good if you work with seasonal energy. Let me take a sip of my coffee. Okay, so another aspect that upon reflection, I was like, ooh, yeah, that that could have something to do with my burnout and my feelings of like apathy and disconnection, is my energy is going a lot of other places in my life. A lot of it's going into my relationships. Some of them are kind of like cultivating them and growing them. Others are going towards my family. There's a lot of really difficult things happening, and my dad has had a lot of health issues, my gosh, in the past couple years, but they just continue to get worse. So I feel like my energy is going like a lot towards family and helping, and also like managing my own like grief and sadness and anger. So like I feel like when I'm in that space, my connection to like source just feels clouded. It's not clear. Yeah, and I just feel like when a lot of hard things are happening in my life, like in real life right now, a lot of hard things are happening. Sometimes it feels like pulling cards feels silly. I'm like, okay, like, great, I pulled a card on indulgence. Well, like, things suck right now. Like, I don't know how to take this lovely message. It's a lovely message, but like, I don't know how to integrate that into my life right now because it just doesn't feel like it's a high priority. That's what it is. Like, this deck is amazing. I love it so much, but a lot of the messages, which again are amazing, they're not landing for what I'm going through right now. So it's almost like, I don't know, maybe I need like more shadow work decks or something, or healing decks. I don't know. That's something to think about as I'm kind of like talking and processing out loud. But yeah, a lot of decks are not landing for me. The messages are not landing for me because things have felt so hard, and the messages feel like there's almost like a cognitive dissonance. Like here's the situation I'm dealing with, and then the cards are saying this message over here, and I'm like, I don't know how these are even connecting at all. So then I just feel, I don't know, frustrated, and I'm like I just put my cards away, and I'm like, this is kind of pointless. So that is another thing that I've been feeling. So another deck I wanted to share. This is the Botanica Tarot. This is the indie version, and I believe this is now mass market. This is by Kevin J. Stanton. So this is it says here, a tarot deck about the language of flowers. And if you are interested in flowers, or you already know the language of flowers, I think this would be a really great one for you. I will say this is definitely, I don't think this is a deck for beginners. I find it a little difficult to read. I also think, for me personally, this deck wants you to slow down. It wants you to take your time. So with this particular deck, I usually put like one card at a time and just work with that. I might pair it with another tarot or oracle, but these visuals, I feel like if I have too many of them, like the message to me just gets like lost. Like I don't get a clear message or visual image to work off of. So with this deck, I just pull one deck at a time. But it's beautiful and it's not going anywhere. But I do like to work with flower energy in like spring and summer. But anyway, so as I was saying, so I think my priorities with like family and relationships, like that's where a lot of my energy is going. And it feels like the cards and my practice are not like really supporting me in a way that I need supporting. So I don't know if it means I just don't need tarot right now. I don't know if it means some of my lighter decks just aren't helpful, or maybe they're just not the right decks. Like I don't know if I need more of a comfort or hug deck. I probably do. Or I don't know if I need like a shadow work deck, like a harder hitting one. I don't know if I need something like, I'm like looking at my desk right now, the Reclaim Oracle, like maybe I need that right now, but like the decks I'm working with are not, they're not hitting the way I need them to with what's going on in my life. Anyway, next deck, this is the Sacred Creators Oracle by Chris Ann. This is the mass market edition. This is a really lovely deck. I love the color range in this, and I love just the simple message and like a simple, almost like symbol or illustration. And there's like watercolor backgrounds. I just think there's such simplicity in this, which is really beautiful. It's so versatile. It works with a lot of different decks. I think this works great for affirmations. This deck works great for journaling because the guidebook, Chris Ann's writing is really awesome. She usually offers some like questions for reflection. And again, you could use any of them for journaling. And the first, because these are all numbered, the first 22 cards are aligned with the majors. So like 8, so we have strength, and we can see the lion here. So I think that's kind of like a cool little extra touch to it. Yeah, I really enjoy this deck. This is an easy one too. Like if you're feeling like you're burnt out and you're like, oh, I can't get the message. Like this is a great one. Like just read the card. The sacred flow of yes. Like just sit with that for a little bit. Fall in love with your own story. Like overthinking can spoil the magic. It's a great deck. I love it. Not going anywhere. And this was also just a nice one to kind of like, again, still feeling that tarot burnout. And that was nice. A nice way to just ease into the cards. Okay, so the next deck is in this pouch. Mainly because the deck, the box completely fell apart on me. It just completely, like the glue like came apart, and I needed a bag. But anyway, this is the Spolia Tarot. Unfortunately, I believe this is out of print. I'm so sorry. Hopefully they do bring it back into print because I know so many people are looking for it, but this is a first edition. Let me take a sip of my coffee. Also, this is my second cup of coffee, and I only drink 1 cup a day, and I was like, oh, today I'll have 2. And then I went to brew it, and I was like, oh, I'll have a small cup. I have a Keurig. And then I was going to hit the small button, and then like muscle memory, I just hit like the large cup, and I was like, well, I've committed to another large cup of coffee. So this is great now, but I will regret this later. Like when I'm feeling anxious, I'm going to be like, this moment right here, you made a choice, and I did, and I have to own it. But I already hear myself talking faster. So let's just slow it down. Let's just slow it down as I take another sip. Anyone else like that? Like 1 cup of coffee is like totally great. You love it. And the second cup, you're like, I'm going to die. So later when I feel that, I have to remember why, because otherwise I'll forget and be like, why am I so anxious, and that whole thing. Anyway, let's bring the energy back to a calm state. So this is the Spolia Tarot. I did modify this quite a bit. The original Spolia had just like large borders around it, and I like hated it. I don't know why. I just really disliked it. I thought, I don't know, I just disliked it. So I was like, you know what? Chopping off the borders, I kept the titles, and love this so much more. I think this deck is really great. But anyway, as I flip through, I will say, upon reflection, another big reason that I'm feeling so disconnected to tarot is like everything that's going on in the world, like witnessing genocide, and also like the horrors of it, and knowing that me as one individual person living in the United States, like I feel very powerless. Like I try to do what I can, which is spread information, show my support. I've donated some money, but like it doesn't feel like enough. And then it gets frustrating that people like are ignoring it. It gets really frustrating, I will say, people in this community, the tarot, the witchy, the spiritual community, and they're not saying shit. And I'm sorry, maybe you're one of them. And like that frustrates me because I'm like, what are we doing? Like, is your practice like kind of bullshit? And like, if you don't like to hear that, like I own it. I own what I say, but to me, it just shows that like a lot of people's spiritual practice is like, you're not practicing what you preach, you know, like we're healers. We are the people who are connected to others and sensitive to others and care about humanity and care about people's rights. And then all of a sudden, like, we don't. That frustrates me. So seeing that in this community is frustrating. And also, again, like, we are witnessing really horrific things in our world right now. Depending on how you view that, I know a lot of people have different opinions on that, but what we are witnessing is genocide, and it's horrifying. And again, there's a sense of powerlessness from me. Like, I've done the things that I think I can do, but I don't know what else to do. And then it feels like pulling silly little cards for silly little messages when people and children and women are dying needlessly. For what? It just seems pointless. And when we get to that place of pointlessness, that's where I think my spirit just completely feels disconnected and fragmented, and I just don't feel a connection to source. And I'm trying to work on that, because I'm trying to, like, when I pull cards and I feel like, I read my message, I share it on Instagram, I want it to help others. I want it to support others. But sometimes it feels like, again, with terrible things going on in the world, it feels like I'm putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. Like, oh, here's how you work through your tough day with work. But like, in the scheme of things, it feels like bullshit, So I after I reflected, I'm like, yeah, that's a big reason why I'm feeling disconnected. And I think that's valid. I am trying to reframe that, because we're not trying to, like I'm a counselor, so like I should know this. I know better. Like, we're not trying to compare people's pain and, oh, your pain is worse, so mine's not valid. Like, it's all valid. So I can still recognize that people in the world are suffering, and I can still do the things in my control, speak out, share information, donate money, things like that. And it's not like an either or. And I can still pull cards for whoever is following me on social media. And perhaps even if I connect with one person who got the message they needed to hear that day, that's a win. So I'm really trying to reframe my thoughts around that, because it's been hard. Man, it's been hard. But I know, again, it's not an either or. It's both. It's and, right? Like, tarot can feel pointless during times of war and genocide. Genocide is what it is. And I can use this to help support whoever is seeing this message, because people are struggling everywhere. So I do need to remember that. So yeah, I think that's a large, those three reasons. So like, really not being seen on social, so I'm not even getting the connection. My own, challenging things in my life with my family, particularly with my dad, that's been really hard. And then just like the world. So all of that, I think, is what's attributing to my tarot burnout and disconnect. And I'm just going to honor that. Like, when it first happened, it really freaked me out. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my passion. Is it not my passion anymore? And I think, like all things, we go through phases, and this is just, it feels like a challenging phase, and that's okay. And I'm going to connect with my cards in a way that feels gentle and meaningful and loving, even if it's just flipping through them, even if it's just enjoying the artwork, even if it's sharing a silly little message online, and whoever sees it and connects with it, knowing that, like, hey, maybe you supported one person today going through a tough time, that can be enough for me. And that's just, I need to remember that. That's why I'm like saying it out loud right now. So yeah, I just wanted to share all of that with my tarot burnout. That's probably why I'm posting less videos. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere, but I just wanted to be honest and share like where I'm at with that. And if you're there too, like, let me know in the comments below, like, if you're feeling the burnout, the disconnection and the apathy, if you've been angry with the tarot, spiritual, witchy community, not speaking up. Like, tell me how you feel. Or maybe you feel opposite and you want to call me out on my bullshit. Go ahead. I'd love to have like a healthy conversation about it. But I think it's important to share how we're feeling. Anyway, last deck I wanted to share that I worked with in May, is the Mike Wilcox Tarot and Oracle. I love this deck. This is the first edition. I backed this on Kickstarter. I think it was this Kickstarter, or was this just this might have just been a pre-order on his like website. Either way, I'm a big fan of his artwork. This deck is gorgeous. So let me tell you, amidst tarot burnout, I did find myself wanting to reach for this, wanting to shuffle it and play with it. So I was like, ooh, that's a good sign, even if it's just to enjoy the artwork. But anyway, this deck is really interesting because it's called the Tarot and Oracle, but really what it is, it's the Tarot Majors. And then, so it's kind of like 3 suits. We've got the Tarot Majors, we've got Oracle cards that he created, and then the 12 Zodiac cards. So it's just really interesting, and I'll show you the guidebook too. It's gorgeous, but I love this artwork. The cardstock is a linen, which normally linen gets too slippery and gets away from me, but for some reason this linen, oh, I love it. And maybe it's because the cards are a little bit bigger, so I don't feel like they fly away from me when I shuffle. Like I had that problem with the Pagan Otherworlds, which is why I trimmed those, because they just felt way too slippery and long. But yeah, this deck is stunning. And it's definitely got shadowy cards too. We've got demons. I'm trying to see what else we have here. I love this cauldron card. So witchy, so good. Spiderweb feels very shadowy. Look at this devil card. Labyrinth. This lover's card is gorgeous. Beautiful heart card. Let's see. There's a beautiful Leo card. There's some other oracle cards in here. Yin Yang. Foundation. I like this foundation card too because he's building while things are like falling apart. I think that's really interesting. Such a pretty moon card, and such a pretty empress card, and such a pretty high priestess card. Like everything about this deck is awesome. This is like my favorite color palette. Like I love all of these colors. Absolutely stunning. I just realized the sun has a mustache. It's so cute. But let's take a look at this guidebook. This guidebook, like hardcover, gold edges. It feels so special. This is the first edition. I think there was definitely a second edition, and I don't know if that's sold out, so I'm sorry if it is. We have a little welcome. Just some like tarot information, archetypes, masculine, feminine energy, how to use the cards, a couple spreads that I've not done. I always say I will, and I don't. And then we go into the cards. So each card has a full black and white image of the card. We've got like keywords, the fortune message. I love how each one has a mantra and each one has reflection questions, because you know me, I'm a big journaler, so I love that. And there's a place for notes. I'm probably not going to write in it because I want to keep my book like nice and pretty, which I don't know why that I need to do that, because I'm never going to sell this. Like this is one I want to keep for life, so I probably could write in it, but I don't know. Do you guys write in like your guidebooks when there's a place for notes? Let me know. Like, are you someone who wants to just like mark up the book? Which I do. I do that with a lot of books. I don't know why I feel hesitant with this one to keep it fresh, but maybe I'll change my mind. But yeah, this guidebook is so awesome. I really like his writing too. Like from someone who, you know, has a good amount of experience with tarot. His write-ups always give me a little bit of something extra to see the card in a different perspective that I might not have before. So, you know what? I'm feeling a tarot tingle. That's what I'm calling this, when I feel the need to pull a card. I'm feeling it right now. So we're just going to go for it. We're just going to pull one card from this deck. We'll see what comes through, and I'll read from the guidebook. So if you're watching this right now, doesn't matter what day it is, doesn't matter if this is an older video that you've come across. Let's take a minute to pause and ground ourselves in the moment. Feel free to take a deep breath and feel free to ask the universe a question if you want, so you can focus on that specifically, or maybe you just want a message for the day, for this moment. So let's see what comes through for us. The tree. So this is one of the oracle cards. So pretty. So I'm going to read the tree to give you guys a little flavor of how this book reads. Okay, so the key words for the tree is life, home, shelter, wisdom, sanctuary, steadiness, and earth. The tree calls us home to the safety and security of ourselves. The tree is our spiritual home, rooted in the earth and reaching to the heavens. It is a giver of fruits ripe with knowledge from above and below. One of the most important things in life, in order to heal and be happy, is the feeling of safety and calm. Let the tree be a guide, a safe space, and a reminder that you are safe and you are okay right now. Already I needed that message. Like a tree, we need good sunshine and clean water, fresh air, and a steady foundation. And just as trees need roots and stability to thrive, so do our spiritual and emotional bodies. Since we are not always in one place, we must find things to sink our roots into for stability. Creating all your stability around external factors like careers or relationships can leave you fumbling if they become shaky or removed entirely. So grant yourself stability in things like your spiritual connection with the earth and the cosmos, your sense of self, and your natural loving nature. Make who you are at your core your stability to come back to. Oh my gosh, I need this message right now. I have like chills. The mantras for this are: I am one with this earth. I am grounded and rooted in strength and love. So the reflection here says, I invite you to create a safe space in your heart and mind, a place to go when you close your eyes that brings you home, somewhere you feel safe that is all yours. You can make this place anything you want. Draw it or visualize it, but build it and come back to it when you need to feel secure. That was the exact message I needed, and I feel like tarot is one thing that is my tree, and external factors have moved me away from that, and I really do want to connect back to my cards and my practice and myself and coming home to myself. And I think that's coming home to myself probably is a big part of the connection back to source. So that's definitely a message I needed to hear. I'd love to know if that message resonated with you. If it did, let me know down in the comments below. And as always, take what resonates and leave the rest. So these are the decks I worked with in May, and yeah, let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of the decks and just some of my chat on tarot burnout. What are your thoughts and feelings on that? Are you in that space too? Have you been in that space? And you know, what did you do to kind of get yourself out of that? Or did you do nothing and you just kind of like let it be? I would love to know all the things. So thank you so much for watching this video and just kind of letting me chit chat and ramble. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please subscribe, because again, it helps small channels like mine kind of grow, and more people can see them. And that's the whole point of this for me. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye.